There's going to be in any community, Mimi, I'll be happy to give you that question in just a minute. There's going to be tons of doting community members who go the extra length to their fellow neighbors who treat them well. And I'm sure you'll find plenty in your community who can help your child develop. When your child is ready to take next step forwards, when you reveal to your son that he is on the spectrum, let him know that that does not change the fact that he is an exceptional child, and it will be his strength, not his weakness. Mimi?
Just to add one more thing, you kind of described your child as being severely autistic, and I wouldn't necessarily presume that because the way he is right now, it may not be able to do some things now, but over time, over time things change. Like Mimi also, for the longest time, even when she was about 4, 5, 6 years old or more, she would not say what she wanted to eat. She would just simply go to the pantry door and stand there, and just look at the door, and then I'd open the door and say, okay, what would you like? And she would not say what she wanted. So we would point to things, and say, at the moment you pointed to what she wanted, she would say yes, and then we'd give it to her. So, she didn't talk for the longest time. We didn't know how well she would do in school, but, so they'll blossom. So I would keep...
So that's the diagnosis. He is on the new spectrum diagnosis. He has a level of 3, the more severe one, because of the nonverbal portion and the no following directions. And that's why, but when the psychologist said, I think we're going to figure out whether or not there's mental retardation. She used this word, and I said, oh no, that's not the case.
I know that.
I
can
know
tell.
For sure.
You can tell. He's learning languages and doing all that other stuff.
I am Katina, and my son was diagnosed with autism. We got him tested about 3 weeks before his second birthday. So, and he attends the Bridge where Sonny works. So, I thank you guys for everything that you do for him. My whole thing is he was diagnosed with severe to moderate to severe autism. And what I struggle with is that I'm on the other side. I see children all day because my job, I work for Babies Can't Wait. So my job is to be in and out of the homes. I'm a service coordinator. So I see children on the spectrum daily. And I go home, I get in the car, and I'm beating myself up like I'm not doing more because I see children younger than him on the spectrum doing more than what he's doing. So he's not pointing, but I know that it's there because if we tell him no to something the night before, no, you can't have a lollipop, and I put it somewhere, he'll get up the next morning and go to it. So I know there are things he knows, but it's a struggle for me because like some of you may not see children on the spectrum every day, but I do. So I compare. I'm not gonna lie, I do. I compare. I get in the car and I'm like, God, I wish Landon did that. I wish he did. What can you tell me as a parent that I can do? Because every day, some days I'm in tears when I get in the car and I'm like, God, it's like this job is a curse and it's a good thing, but I see it all day. So if anybody could give me something that
Let's start with Sunny.
Yeah. I feel like I'm qualified to answer this question because I work at the British School of Georgia, and I haven't worked with Landon. I've just worked with him one-on-one a little bit in the classroom. Yeah. So what I believe with Landon, you just have to give him some time. He's how old? 2?
He's just turned 3 last month.
3. Oh, happy birthday. So Landon, so you're worried he's 3 years old but not doing what the other 3-year-olds are doing. Let me tell you, when I was 3, I wasn't doing what the other 3-year-olds were doing. While they were running around and talk to each other and laugh and stuff, I would stand in the corner and just kind of look down at the floor. I didn't really fit in. And so it was with Landon, I tried to stoop to his level and give him eye contact, and the first thing in the morning, as soon as I see him, I try to say, "Hey Landon, good morning," and I try to speak directly to him, because look at him, say, "Landon, good morning, how are you?" And I have to and it's not your fault, by the way. You haven't done anything wrong. I think for the parents of autistic kids, they think at first they might think that it's their fault, or they're doing something wrong, or they're not doing enough. You could try to put all your energy into helping him interact with other kids more, but I wouldn't worry about it now. So, hope that helped. Oh, my mom?
Your question is, how do you stop yourself from comparing your child to other autistic kids? Just quit it. All mothers do that, everyone. We all do that. We all compare. Oh no, my child's not doing that. That child's more social, that child. But I know the fear that you feel when he's so little and you don't know what the future holds. I remember that fear. And you don't know if he's going to be able to live independently or how his speech will develop, or there's so much you don't know. I know when Sunny was 3, one afternoon, all she said was, "You're too smart for me, Uncle Donald," all afternoon long. Because that's what she knew at that time was echolalia. So she would hijack little bits of conversation from movies and express some obscure thought with that. And I would just almost freeze in horror. In a way, it was lovable, but I would also be so afraid for her. Like, how is she going to interact with the world? And other kids on the spectrum that we ran into, I would wonder, well, how do they stack up? And it's really fruitless to wonder. You just try to get through every day and love your child the best that you can. When he gets older, you will see, it's like your mom said, your child will start to lead the way. Your child will let you know, however method, what he's ready for and what he needs. When Sunny was 14, she said, "Mom, homeschooling isn't doing it for me anymore. I need some teachers who aren't you, and I need to be in a more rigorous, course of study."
You notice that Sunny admitted that when she was ready.
Yes, when she was ready. Your mom said when you realized you needed friends, you made that decision. Your mom didn't force you into it. And the same with your kids. As they grow, you learn to let them lead. Even though they are disabled, you will be astonished at the strengths and the insights and the wonderfulness that's inside them. So just try not to worry so much.
And try not to compare.
And Mimi has also a part to say for this.
Well, there's some of the struggles that are still have been ongoing. For some examples, when I have emotional meltdowns, especially even to the smallest little things, I've been one of the major struggles I'm facing is getting them to make them non-existent, or meaning to have 0 meltdowns. And I'll ask a question about that. Is 0 meltdowns ever possible? Yes?
Hi, my name is Purvi Patel, and I have a son on the Asperger's, and he's 12 years old. My question is for all 3 of you. I just wanted to know that where did the thought of self-advocacy come from? Did it come from within you or from your parents, and how did your parents help you with that?
Mimi, why don't you start this one off?
Well, how my parents helped me with self-advocacy was through my friend Erin Niederhofer. And it's my way to stand up to the community to get everybody to understand autism a lot better. Because quite often I keep hearing things that don't go well with my autism, is that when, some things don't go as they are, I just have to take them in stride. And I find that this statement of taking everything in stride or hearing it just doesn't seem to match up with me at all. Because in my opinion, that's a statement that just comes natural to neurotypicals, but not so much to persons with autism. And whenever I'm going through any emotional difficulties or going through meltdowns, I always get yelled at for them. And I find that really makes it worse for me, because when people are calm, when I'm going through an emotional meltdown, whether it's a minor one or a major one, depending on the situation, I just find that being yelled at just causes me to take up much longer to recover from them. Whereas if people are calm, I recover from them a lot faster. And to go one step further, if there was a friend and my parents, and I'm going through emotional meltdown, I get yelled at by my parents, but the friend, if it's an adult friend, they stay calm and reassuring. But I've been told that both parties, the parent and the friend, have to remain calm. But the problem here is that I feel like I want to ask you a question and get your opinion on this. Is it, could it always be on my side whenever I have emotional meltdowns, especially when I get yelled at, or could it be from both sides?
I get it. Can you tell me again? I'm sorry.
Okay.
What's your question?
Mimi, let's hold that particular question, and it's a very good one. Let's hold it close to the end.
Okay.
I'd just like to answer your question a little further. First of all, you have to advocate for your child first. And I think after a while, when they get older, then you can kind of teach them to do what you've been doing for them. But you have to advocate very hard for your child.
Yeah, that's what I do, but when middle school and transition to high school, there's more expectation and less acceptance, So you kind of have to, because you can't be there 24/7, especially at school with your child. So you want them to self-advocate for themselves in a lot more situations where, and with kids like this, we know that, okay, they have certain behaviors, but if it's addressed right then it can be modified and changed.
Is your child in a
do it like
therapeutic?
5-6 hours later, or the next day when you get letter from the school or email from the school addressing a situation, I think some of them they can't even recall or retell.
Is your child in a special needs program?
He is in the special needs program, but
And is
he
there-
also goes to regular ed classrooms.
Mainstream.
So does he have a 504 or an IEP?
IEP.
Okay.
Okay, so you need to advocate for your son that you need someone involved at the school who can help with social skills.
He does in the social skills, and he is in the mainstream with an adult support.
Okay.
But this
Okay.
is more like recess, and you have specials, and so that's where interacts with a lot more kids, because the mainstream class
Right.
knows him.
Right.
So they are pretty acceptable and everything.
And middle
but
school is tough.
That's what I was
It is
just gonna say,
very
middle
tough,
school.
so.
You just have to deal with
Kind of like
it,
it's that
let
age
it
where
pass.
want to introduce the self-advocacy, and I'm
Yeah.
pretty impressed with all three of them.
And the kinds of issues you're talking about, self-advocating, for instance, in a classroom, for instance, with extended time or where you're sitting or things of that nature are a very different issue than self-advocating in a social
Yes.
environment. But what I might suggest you might do, and I know it's all exhausting, but are the social stories, Do you know what I'm talking about with social
Yeah.
stories? So I think a social story might be one way to take some of the examples and come up on that score.